Hard Times 3 is a private prison founded by an icon named M. Dick E. He's a game developing freak who has made his riches making dumbass, fun-ass games. Under Dickie's rule, everybody is a wrestler with a gimmick name. My first selection was Dirty Dick.
Dirty Dick. Who's this behind Dirty Dick?
Alternations gave him max tall, 7 foot 10 inches. Still, his cellmate wasn't scared of Dirty Dick. He had the audacity to tell Dick he'd be sleeping on the floor when this dude is out here looking like a banal bussy bandit. This level 1 spawn couldn't snatch a fart out of a man's ass, let alone rob his pussy.
Wait, what? I gotta be sneaky. I just flipped him once.
Dirty's assault on Harry made him 80% more poor. At least he wound up calling top on the metaphorical bunk bed while his cellmate slept elsewhere.
He's sleeping on the toilet.
This low security prison was permanently cursed by a vicious weapons cheat code, so Dick found a chainsaw. He gained a polarizing reputation for his new accessory, changing those stubborn minds pretty quick though. His attention went to Dick's head, causing him to go uncontrollably insane, running around and starting fights in tweaker-like fashion. The chainsaw did prove to be useful in keeping other inmates' hands off him. The end came when Dirty Dick received the death sentence for hammering one out in the bathroom. No clue if Dirty Dick was a parody of someone, but I do know the next prisoner. Jake Piston is a video game character. Day 1 locked up, gotta get your arsenal right. In Jake's cell, he had an Uzi and a barbed wire bat. A modest start. Due to his eye patch, he only had to look at half of his shitty environment, resulting in the guards writing him up for insubordination. The POs must meet their misery quotas. Summoned to court, Jake was filled with anxiety piss. His attempt to dodge trial had him planting his ass on a toilet seat with his pants on as he peed like a girl. An empty bladder later and he was shooting at whoever wanted to tangle. Caught in entanglement was this watermelon Jake set up on his range. He was juicing it good until a geek reading a book head scissored him for a piece of silence. Apprehension led to another surprise court date. The verdict being attaching an extendo on Jake's sentence. Held in an overpopulated cell, Jake had to survive by reaching through the iron bars and snatching a gun right out of a guard's hand. They had a civilized disagreement over speech bubbles before the gun started malfunctioning on everybody. Now held at crossbow point, he was brought to court again. In the law room, the decision went to the shooter. The oppressors didn't like that. One of them piped Piston in the middle of the night. Broke his bed too. Retaliating at the officer asking what his problem was, then answering by admitting Jake was more skillful. With no mercy, the jailer got struck and German suplexed. An assault charge was going to come from this if it wasn't for the old faithful $10. The bribe was paid, but this moron kept pummeling Officer Awesome. Poor guy was just trying to give a tutorial on focus. The rest was avoided this time out of pity for the Red Health Bar. Jake wound up in the infirmary, sitting in a wheelchair. Some prag visited him to confess to snitching. Of course, then everyone wrestled each other as M. Dickie intended. Rolling into the cell block with a chainsaw, Jake used it to slice a guard's arm off. The prison cop claimed he'd be scarred for life over his band-aid worth of wound, and he vowed revenge. On to the routine arrest. In court, the witness was bleeding from his freshly severed arm, truly determined to get Jake found guilty, which happened, granting an extension on this hard time. Hardness took place in a crowded cell. Jake got to bed while his bunkmates paced around him and held weapons like they were his bodyguards. He'd really need the protection since his chainsaw exploded. The thrill of snatching a cop's gun had our main prisoner going back for more. You know how it goes, the police officer asks you to hand over the gun and you shoot them. Another slice of ham got involved, proceeded to get shot for a bit, then claimed Jake was more popular. Ultimately, he arrested him. That ended with Jake winning the court's favor. To get through his 28-day bid, all Jake enjoyed doing was fighting. The system didn't like this. Running out of ways to punish the societal waste, he was beaten by the government. He also had to shit, though he deserved a trophy for making it to the shitter on time. Sorta on topic, Jake's cellmate was named Malcolm Stain. That sounds shit related. Well, this Stain wasn't scared of pussies who used flamethrowers. This kind of talk had him bleeding from heat, yet he wasn't on fire. The two roomies fucked with each other, even to the point of attempted skull fucking. Constant groin throttling keeps a man down. Medieval justice would be laid upon Jake Piston when the judge ordered the removal of a limb. One hand down, he was still his same old shit-starting self, blindsiding opponents and stomping their nuts into oblivion. This is how he became the big dog in the pit. On the top, there is always someone ready to topple you. Here was the classic case of untied loose ends having consequences. Jake was Hurricane Rana'd by the prison guard he took an arm from. This attack caused the fatal fall, the final impact, hard enough to squeeze the last drop of spinal fluid out of his nervous system. At least Jake Piston was #1 on the prison leaderboards. On to Hugh Jazz, named after huge ass, just in case you were having trouble with that one. It's nice that the previous character gets a shout out in the beginning. Unfortunately, Hugh Jazz had a problem. His ass was too huge, plus he refused any kind of medical treatment, because in his words, that shit is gay. It didn't take long for the rectal fever to best him, collapsing his ass like a foreign object. Taking over the spotlight is Six Pack, aka fitness icon Tupac. Rather than take the easy tall route, he'd ride the typical short man road at 4'7". Honestly, this wasn't an honorable Six Pack, he was an animal abuser. On the first day to show he wasn't no bitch, he went up to the biggest fellow 90s rapist and flipped him on his ass. To avoid brawls, Pac bought a firearm off the ground. He bypassed the law with the simple but effective $10. Six Pack in his heart was a gangster rapper that wanted to shoot Uzis and wasn't gonna let being locked up stop him. Look at his maneuvers. Impressive, though not to all. Accused of fighting in a war, Pac claimed the Uzi magically went off in his hand, a strong defense that actually won him the legal battle. After his trial over possessing the Uzi, a guard was found dead. Maybe Pac shot him to death. Who knows? Okay, he totally did it. Punishment for murder? Murder of a cop? A few more days in jail. Thanks. This motherfucker was a menace to society. Regardless, the judges thought he was cute or something because he got away with everything. His sanity was slipping. He picked up a guy and emotionally hugged him. Next, he was on to dancing in his cell, doing that Ali shuffle. Guards didn't appreciate that. Remember, no joy. 1 second, the prisoner is asking for Pac's help while he is fighting with a guard, and all of a sudden his arm is shot off. Fuck it. Long as Six Pack could hit his dumbbell curls, or dumbbell curl, it's still multiple curls, but one arm. Despite that workout just witnessed, Pac was deemed lazy and charged with that. Out of luck in the courts, he received the limb removal faith. Already familiar with nubism, Pac now had both arms gone, making him an easy target for bullying. One of the officers felt bad for the handicapped dweeb, offering a $20 reconstructive surgery. Six Pack accepted the discounted deal. Our man can grip once more. Insubordination never leaves the insubordinate. For his crimes, Pac had one of his new hands chopped off. During a riot, Pac was knocked around and sat on by a woman prisoner, since this is a co-ed prison with maximum romance. Although Six Pack couldn't handle the rough stuff, he died. The last prisoner we're observing is behind Six Pack's death. His name is Sean Cums. That's Sean Coomer Cums, better known as P. Diddy. He was made massively frightening to reflect the giant sexual predator side of himself. The goddamn army was putting the diddler behind bars for hacking software. Ew. No mere fence could hold this monster, climbing over it as he methodically escaped prison. Sean Cums was arrested at the airport in the middle of the city where the runways are roads with townhomes on them. The second escape plan had him digging through concrete with a shovel. The Holy Dug led to the wrestling arena. I called it years ago. I knew wrestling empire and hard times were connected. Out in the streets, Sean stole a car too small for his head and shovel. Only reasonable solution was to crash and ditch. Afterwards, cops dogpiled Sean Cums on the basketball court. Returned to his cell, Diddy hired a chainsaw to hover over him at night. In the daytime, he was an active terrorist, until the death sentence put that to an end.